10 famous celebrity graves you can't visit. Number 1. Michael Jackson died on June 25, 2009, and was interred on September 3, 2009, inside Holly Terrace in the Great Mausoleum at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. Thousands of fans visit Forest Lawn every year hoping to reach him. None of them can. The Great Mausoleum has been closed to the general public since 1933. A policy that existed long before Jackson was born, and that applies to everyone inside it equally, regardless of fame or the size of the crowd waiting outside. The mausoleum was designed by Forest Lawn's founder Hubert Eaton, who modeled it on aristocratic European burial halls and deliberately restricted access to preserve what he called the sacred and private character of the space. Ordinary visitors are stopped at the entrance. Only family members, special pass holders authorized directly by Forest Lawn, and cemetery staff are permitted inside. The rule was not created for Jackson. It simply applies to him the same way it applies to everyone else interred within those walls. Fans who make the journey to Forest Lawn can walk the grounds, see the exterior of the mausoleum, and stand close to the building where he rests, but the door does not open for them. No amount of persistence, appeal, or celebrity changes that. Jackson had been one of the most globally recognized entertainers in history, recording Thriller, the best-selling album of all time, and revolutionizing music video as an art form through his work with directors including John Landis and Martin Scorsese. Michael Jackson was born on August 29, 1958, in Gary, Indiana. He died at the age of 50. Number 2. Clark Gable died on November 16, 1960. And was buried inside the Great Mausoleum at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, in the same restricted section that has been closed to the general public since 1933. The King of Hollywood, the man whose face had defined masculine screen presence for 3 decades, rests behind a door that no ordinary visitor is permitted to open. Gable had specifically requested to be placed beside Carole Lombard, his third wife, who had died in a plane crash 18 years before him. His wish was honored. The two of them lie together in a space that only family members and a handful of authorized individuals will ever enter. The millions of fans who grew up watching him in Gone with the Wind, it happened one night. And the misfits have no way of standing at the actual site where he rests. The restriction has nothing to do with Gable specifically, and everything to do with the design philosophy of the mausoleum itself. Forest Lawn's founder wanted to create a burial space protected from the kind of public traffic that other celebrity graves attract. For Gable, the result is that one of the most recognizable names in Hollywood history is permanently shielded from the fans who made him famous. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor for It Happened One Night in 1934, and received his only other nomination for Mutiny on the Bounty. Clark Gable was born on February 1, 1901. In Cadiz, Ohio, he died at the age of 59. Number 3. Jean Harlow died on June 7, 1937, at just 26 years old, and was placed in a white marble crypt inside the Great Mausoleum at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, paid for by her former co-star and lover William Powell, who was so devastated by her sudden death that he ensured she would have a burial fitting a star of her stature. What he could not have known then was that the very building where he placed her would be permanently closed to the public, making her grave one of the most inaccessible in Hollywood history. The Great Mausoleum's restriction on general visitors means that Harlow, one of the original platinum blonde bombshells of the silver screen, has been effectively sealed away from the public since the moment she was interred. Her fans during her lifetime had worshipped her from cinema seats. Her fans today cannot get any closer than the exterior of the building where she rests. The crypt Powell chose for her is inside a section known as the Sanctuary of Benediction, a name that speaks to the aspirational dignity Eaton intended for the space. It is a fitting enough resting place for someone whose career was defined by glamour, but that dignity comes with a permanent wall between her grave and the world outside. Harlow starred in Platinum Blonde, Red Dust, and Dinner at 8, and remains one of the most iconic figures of early Hollywood. Jean Harlow was born on March 3, 1911, In Kansas City, Missouri, she died at just 26 years old. Number 4. Walt Disney died on December 15, 1966, and was cremated. His ashes were placed in a private family garden within Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, a section that is completely off-limits to the general public and whose exact location within the cemetery has never been publicly identified. The cemetery confirms he is there. It will not say where. Staff at Forest Lawn are trained to redirect any visitor who asks about his location. There are no maps, no markers visible from public areas, no signs pointing toward him, and no authorized tours that include his resting place. The private family garden where he rests is a section that ordinary visitors simply cannot reach, regardless of how they approach the question or how persistent they are in asking it. The irony has been noted many times. Disney built his career on creating spaces designed to welcome and delight the public, on building parks and films that invited the world in. His own final resting place is the one corner of his world where the public is definitively and permanently not welcome. He won more Academy Awards than any other individual in history, with 22 competitive Oscars and 4 honorary ones, and created an entertainment empire that continues to shape global popular culture decades after his death. Walt Disney was born on December 5, 1901, in Chicago, Illinois. He died at the age of 65. Number 5. Princess Diana died on August 31, 1997, in Paris, France, and was buried on a small island in the middle of an ornamental lake on the grounds of Althorpe House in Northamptonshire, England, the Spencer family estate where she had grown up. The island is completely inaccessible to the public. No bridge connects it to the surrounding grounds. No boat service brings visitors across. The grave cannot be reached. The Spencer family made a deliberate decision to bury her somewhere that would protect her remains from the kind of public access that would inevitably follow the death of the most photographed woman in the world. The island location ensures that even when Althorpe House opens its grounds to visitors during July and August each year, the grave itself remains unreachable. Visitors can see the lake, can see the island from the shore, and can visit a memorial temple built nearby in her honor. They cannot get to the grave. The decision was made by her brother Charles Spencer, who gave the eulogy at her funeral, and who has maintained strict control over the site ever since. The grave is marked with a simple white urn visible from the shore, close enough to see but impossible to reach for anyone outside the family. Diana had been one of the most recognized and beloved public figures in the world, known for her humanitarian work as much as for her role within the British royal family. Princess Diana was born on July 1, 1961. In Sandringham, England, she died at the age of 36. Number 6. Whitney Houston died on February 11, 2012, in Beverly Hills, California, and was buried at Fairview Cemetery in Westfield, New Jersey, in a private family plot that is not open to the general public. The cemetery itself is accessible, but the specific section where Houston rests is a private family area, and the family has consistently worked to protect that privacy from the kind of fan traffic that her global fame inevitably generates. In 2018, her mother, Cissy Houston, who had also been buried in the same cemetery following her death in 2024, and other family members worked to have Houston's remains moved to a more secure location within the same grounds, in part because of ongoing concerns about the preservation and security of the site. The exact location of her grave within the cemetery is not publicly mapped or disclosed, and visitors who arrive hoping to find her have consistently found that the family's wishes for privacy around the site are firmly maintained. For a woman whose voice was considered one of the greatest in the history of recorded music, the inaccessibility of her grave feels like the final assertion of a private identity that her public life rarely allowed her to protect. She recorded "I Will Always Love You," "I Want to Dance with Somebody," and "Greatest Love of All," and won 6 Grammy Awards across a career that transformed the sound of popular music throughout the 1980s and 1990s. Whitney Houston was born on August 9, 1963, in Newark, New Jersey. She died at the age of 48. Number 7. Freddie Mercury died on November 24, 1991, in London, England, and was cremated. His ashes were given to his closest and most trusted friend, Mary Austin, who buried them in a location she has never revealed, and has stated publicly she will take to her own grave. There is no cemetery, no headstone, no map, and no amount of research that will bring anyone to the actual place where he rests. Mercury had made Austin the primary beneficiary of his estate and trusted her above everyone else with the decisions that followed his death. He had asked her specifically to keep the location secret because he feared his grave would be disturbed or vandalized by the scale of devotion his fans had shown him during his lifetime. She has honored that promise without exception for more than 3 decades. A memorial plaque was placed at Kensal Green Cemetery in London by fans who needed somewhere to go. There are no remains beneath it. It is a monument to grief rather than to any confirmed physical truth about where Mercury actually is. For fans who want to find him, the answer is simply that they cannot. Mercury had been one of the most extraordinary live performers in the history of rock music, the lead singer of Queen, and his performance at Live Aid in 1985 is still widely considered the greatest concert performance ever captured on film. Freddie Mercury was born on September 5, 1946. In Stone Town, Zanzibar. He died at the age of 45. Number 8. Frank Zappa died on December 4, 1993, and was buried at Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles, California, in an unmarked grave whose exact location within the cemetery has never been publicly confirmed. Westwood is one of the most celebrity-dense cemeteries in Los Angeles, and thousands of people visit it every year to find famous names. Zappa is somewhere inside it, and almost no one knows where. His family's decision to leave his grave unmarked and to withhold its location was almost certainly driven by a concern that a visible marker would attract the kind of attention and potential vandalism that had affected other graves in the same cemetery. At Westwood, even marked graves have faced problems with fans leaving behind items or causing damage, and for a musician as unconventional and fiercely independent as Zappa, the choice of an unmarked and undisclosed resting place feels entirely consistent with who he was. Fans who visit Westwood and ask staff about his location receive no assistance. The cemetery does not distribute maps of celebrity grave locations, and Zappa's plot is not identifiable from any public area of the grounds. He had been one of the most prolific and unconventional musicians in American history, releasing over 60 albums across genres including rock, jazz, classical, and experimental music, and building a reputation as one of the most fiercely independent artists of his generation. Frank Zappa was born on December 21, 1940, in Baltimore, Maryland. He died at the age of 52. Number 9. Elizabeth Taylor died on March 23, 2011, and was buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, in a grave that is deliberately unmarked and whose location within the cemetery has never been publicly disclosed. She arrived 15 minutes late to her own funeral, honoring a request she had made years earlier that the service should begin before her casket arrived. Her burial, like her funeral, was arranged on her own terms. The cemetery does not identify the location of her grave to visitors or to members of the press who inquire. There is no marker visible from any public area of the grounds, and the section where she rests is not included on any map or tour of the cemetery. Staff are instructed not to assist visitors trying to find her, and the family's preference for privacy around the site has been consistently respected. Taylor had been one of the most famous women in the world for more than half a century, and the decision to leave her burial site unmarked and inaccessible was a final act of control over her own story, from a woman who had spent her entire adult life navigating the tension between her public image and her private self. She won Academy Awards for Best Actress for Butterfield 8 and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and starred in Cleopatra, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and Giant. Elizabeth Taylor was born on February 27, 1932. In London, England, she died at the age of 79. Number 10. Humphrey Bogart died on January 14, 1957, and was cremated. His ashes were placed inside the Great Mausoleum at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, the same restricted building that has been closed to general visitors since 1933. The man whose face defined the hard-boiled Hollywood hero, whose voice became one of the most imitated in cinema history, rests behind the same locked door that keeps visitors away from Michael Jackson, Clark Gable, and Jean Harlow. Bogart's ashes were placed in a small urn inside the mausoleum, and when his wife Lauren Bacall died in 2014, she was laid to rest beside him, honoring a wish she had carried for 57 years. The two of them are together in a building that no ordinary visitor will ever enter. Their decades-long love story concluded in a space permanently sealed from the world that had once celebrated them both. For fans who make the journey to Forest Lawn hoping to get close to Bogart, the experience is the same as for everyone else turned away at the mausoleum entrance. They can walk the grounds, stand outside the building, and look at the exterior of the structure where he rests. The door does not open. Bogart starred in Casablanca, The Maltese Falcon, The African Queen, and The Big Sleep, and won the Academy Award for Best Actor for The African Queen in 1952. Humphrey Bogart was born on December 25, 1899, in New York City. He died at the age of 57,